Good morning, everybody. How is everyone doing today? I hope everybody's having a great day and that your week is treating you well so far. I'm having a really good week here in Denver, and so I'm excited to do another edition of our Junk Food Made Real series. So it's been a couple of weeks since I've been on here doing one, so we are going to do a really popular one today. And I see some people jumping on, so I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. So if you'd leave a comment down below, let me know what part of the world you're looking at this video from. I'm in Denver, Colorado, and thought it was going to be a really bright sunny day, but it's kind of a little bit overcast and kind of a little bit cooler than I expected. So might not be spending as much time outside today as I wanted. But so yeah, let me know where you're tuning in from. And I today am going to show you guys how to make your own Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal. So we get a lot of requests for cereal recipes for the Junk Food Made Real series because breakfast cereal is one of those things that is typically loaded with a bunch of garbage. Even some of the organic and the natural ones are just not all that great. So we're going to give you a healthy recipe made with some really simple ingredients today. And here's a picture. We have the blog post up, but you guys, I don't know if you can see that. But they're really super tasty. And this recipe actually comes from my 20 Dishes co-founder from her cookbook called Paleo Eats. So she was nice enough to let us publish that recipe on our site. So for those of you that are new to 20 Dishes or new to me, don't know who I am or what 20 Dishes is, I want to welcome you to our Facebook Live. We go live, 2 to 3 times a week, and we share different recipes, health tips, nutrition tips, just pretty much everything you need to eat healthy and live healthy. So thank you for tuning in. My name is Jessica Espinoza, and I'm a health and lifestyle coach and the co-founder of 20 Dishes, along with Kelly Bajelli and Orletha Smith. You'll see them popping on here too throughout the week. So we co-founded 20 Dishes as a way to help people kind of stay the course with real food, because we all have a lot of experience in the real food world. We've all worked in this industry collectively. We have like 35 years of cooking experience. And if there was one complaint that we got all the time from people in our audience and from clients and stuff, it is how do I make real food eating really accessible and really easy? Because one of the things that people find is that real food just takes a lot of time. I mean, you really lose the convenience of being able to open up a package and have a meal ready. You do have to spend a little extra time prepping. So we created 20 Dishes as a way to help people get their meals done in record time and still reap the benefits of real, healthy, nourishing whole foods. So we're different than a lot of meal plans out there in that we have kind of what we call our secret sauce. We have a very specific system that we teach you guys, super easy to learn, and it will totally revolutionize your cooking. So that's a little bit about us. There's a link down in the video description below where you can get a free 5-day meal plan if you want to check us out and kind of see what we're all about. So you can download that down below. And then the recipe for this delicious Cinnamon Toast Crunch is also down in the video description below. So make sure you hop over to the blog and check that out. So Cinnamon Toast Crunch, let me see if I can keep my tablet from crashing on me. So my main issue with breakfast cereals in general is that most of them are very, very starchy and high carb. So they are going to create your insulin spikes. You're going to have a blood sugar crash. You're going to eat it. Your blood sugar is going to go up. And that's even without it having a ton of sugar, just because it tends to be really high carb grains that most cereals are made out of. So even if you're getting one that doesn't have any added sugars, you're still going to have a carbohydrate or an insulin spike from the carbohydrates just in the ingredients of the cereal. So that's one of my main issues with it. So cultivating really good health really starts with managing your blood sugar. So your blood sugar is one of the most tightly regulated systems in your entire body. And if we're constantly spiking our blood sugar and crashing and spiking our blood sugar and crashing, then it really sets our body up for a lot of problems. It can lead to inflammation. It can lead to prediabetes, to type 2 diabetes, and to a whole host of problems. So really managing your blood sugar is kind of the foundation of really cultivating good health. And you can really manage your blood sugar really well just by eating real food, getting rid of the processed junk, getting rid of the highly refined sugars and flours and stuff like that. And that will go a long way to really helping your blood sugar. One thing that people do is they eat these really high carbohydrate and high sugar breakfast cereals for breakfast. And that kind of sets you up for a blood sugar roller coaster throughout the entire day. So one thing I like to say, if you're going to eat some cereal, then, go ahead and eat some cereal if you can tolerate it and you're fine with it. But pair that with some protein and some fat. So make sure you're maybe using some coconut milk on it, or you're eating it with some eggs. Because when you combine carbohydrates with protein and fat, it will help minimize that insulin spike and kind of stabilize your blood sugar a little bit. So that is a key tip there. If you're going to eat higher carbs, you can, temper that a little bit with the protein and the fat. So that's the main issue that I have with breakfast cereals. And, eating breakfast cereal on occasion for a snack or a treat or whatever, totally cool. I eat breakfast cereal every now and then for just a little treat if I want it, but I just don't eat breakfast cereal all the time. And we have kind of this idea that breakfast cereal, a big bowl of cereal and a big glass of orange juice is a really well-rounded breakfast. And, sadly it's not. We really should try to eat some protein and some fat and a little bit of carbs for breakfast to kind of stabilize our blood sugar for the day. And it really sets us up for not having cravings and feeling like we need to binge or overeat at lunch and dinner as well, if we can start off on the right foot in the morning. So that is kind of my issue with cereal. But again, I'm not the food police. We can eat whatever we want to eat, and I really want to empower people to just make the best decisions that they can for their own health, because some people are going to tolerate much higher carb levels than other people. So you really have to just experiment and see. If you do really well with carbs, then awesome. If you don't, then you can kind of tailor your style of eating to what your body needs. I don't believe that there is a one size fits all diet for everybody. So if you want to enjoy your breakfast cereal, then just hop over and make some healthy breakfast cereal. So that's all I'm going to say about that part. But we're going to do just a quick ingredient breakdown. So I focused on Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but really if you compare the ingredients between Cinnamon Toast Crunch and pretty much all of the other kind of commercial mainstream breakfast cereals out there, they're all going to be really similar ingredients. So the first ingredient in Cinnamon Toast Crunch is whole grain wheat. So you guys have heard me say in past episodes, if you've been watching this series, that I don't have an issue with wheat in and of itself. I personally am gluten-free and grain-free. I avoid wheat just because of my own autoimmune diseases, but wheat, I don't think wheat is the villain that we've kind of made it out to be. Yes, it does cause serious problems for people, but I don't necessarily think it's the gluten. I think it is the way the wheat is treated. So a lot of people are not aware that commercial, conventional wheat, so non-organic, is loaded with glyphosate, which is your Roundup. That's the toxic chemical that they use. It's a toxic herbicide that they use. You can buy it at Home Depot if you want. I don't advise it. But they go through and they douse the wheat fields while it's growing with Roundup, with the herbicide. But then a lot of times they will completely douse the field before they harvest. So you're getting several doses of Roundup, this really nasty chemical, in your wheat. And I am speculating, and there's a lot of other health experts that are starting to kind of research this and look into it to see if there's really the glyphosate that's causing a lot of problems and the way that our conventional wheat is treated. So I don't think that wheat and gluten is necessarily the problem. I think it's conventional wheat and all of the things that we do to conventional wheat to produce it on a mass scale. So what I recommend to people and to my clients as well is that if they're going to eat wheat, that's awesome. If you can tolerate it, that's awesome. But I highly, highly recommend that you buy organic wheat if you're going to eat it, and try to look for some of the ancient varieties of wheat. Like einkorn is a variety that's really hasn't been hybridized. It's the same that it's been for, hundreds, thousands of years. The hybridization can be potentially another issue that people have with wheat. So that one I haven't researched as much, but I have seen it talked about in some of the articles that I have read. So just look for organic wheat, and if you want to try some of the ancient varieties, you may be able to tolerate those a little bit better. And you're going to avoid all of that glyphosate and Roundup and all that nasty stuff that they put on our wheat. So then The second ingredient is sugar. Not surprising that they load it all up with sugar. So in there we have three different forms. We have sugar, fructose, and dextrose. So all of these are really highly processed. They're all going to spike your blood sugar. Fructose is really especially bad. There's been a lot of research on fructose in large amounts. And so that is one to kind of keep an eye on and avoid if you are really kind of managing your blood sugar and want to keep inflammation down. And then the sugar that comes from sugar beets is potentially genetically modified. So that's another issue if that sugar is coming from beets and not from cane sugar. So that's another thing to be aware of whenever you're looking at sugar on labels. The next ingredient, so I just picked 5. So this is what I do on the Junk Food Made Real episodes. I just pick kind of like 4 or 5 ingredients that I want to talk about in that specific blog post. And I mean, there's definitely way more than that in way more ingredients than that in this cereal. But the next ingredient I picked was canola oil. I have a video that I did on healthy fats, and I talk about canola oil and your vegetable oils and why they're not really all that healthy. Likely it's genetically modified, first of all, so that's one main problem. And then I linked in the video description below, I believe, to my video that I did on healthy oils, and I talk about it in more depth. But essentially, your canola oil and your vegetable oils are going to be higher in your omega-6 fatty acids, and when you get too many omega-6s, it leads to inflammation in the body. There really has to be kind of a delicate balance between your omega-6, your omega-3, and your omega-9. And I seem to recall that there's also omega-12 and maybe an omega-7. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've looked at that as well. But we essentially want to make sure that we're balancing our omega levels and not eating too many omega-6s to lead to inflammation. And unfortunately, if you're eating a standard American diet, most people are getting way too many omega-6s and not nearly enough omega-3s and omega-9s. So we have to just kind of make sure we keep that in mind. If you're eating a lot of wholesome, real foods, then chances are your fatty acid balance is probably doing okay. Let's see. The next ingredient is caramel color. So caramel color is in everything. And there is some research that indicates, whoa, my screen just went away. There we go. That indicates that it could have a cancer connection. So it's one of those things that we really don't know a ton about the long-term effects of it. It needs to be studied more. But there is a push by consumers right now, at least, you know, some consumers, to get companies to stop using caramel color in their products. And some companies are obliging. This is a really good example of when consumers say that they don't want something in their food, then a lot of times companies will listen. It may take them a while to make changes because it's not an easy process to change your entire manufacturing process. But consumers do have power to demand a change in the marketplace. And a really good example of a company that's pulled caramel color out of their products is Zevia, which is a stevia sweetened soda. You can find it at the health food store, Sprouts, and I think even like Kroger is selling it now. So it has erythritol and stevia in it. And they used to use caramel color in their products years ago. And I think about a year and a half ago, they pulled it out due to consumer demand. So this is a really good example of the power that we as consumers have. If there's something that you don't want a manufacturer to use, then we need to start speaking up and letting them know. And some manufacturers are going to oblige and some aren't. Some are going to just ignore us and keep on producing things the way they want to produce them. And that's okay. We have a choice as consumers as to where we put our dollars. So just know that if you are passionate about that kind of stuff, like food safety and things like that, then there is power there. So definitely speak up. The last ingredient that I chose to focus on was BHT. So BHT is a synthetic preservative that really has no place in food. Honestly, real food does not need preservatives. So if you're looking at a package and it has a preservative on it, then you know it's not really real food. You should just put it back on the shelf. It has commonly used in things like cosmetics, embalming fluid, yum, jet fuel, and pharmaceutical drugs. General Mills, who manufactures Cinnamon Toast Crunch, they've actually stated in the past that they're going to remove BHT from their products, but it still remains. So it could be that they're working through the manufacturing process to get it removed because it's not an easy thing when you have a massive scale production like General Mills and some of the other really big brands do. So it could be that this is going to trickle down and eventually that BHT will be removed, but we'll just have to keep an eye on things. But for now, it's still in there and it's still listed on their ingredients. So those are the 5 ingredients that I kind of highlighted. The cereal really, it's fortified with a lot of, synthetic vitamins. And this is another area that I always tell you guys in these videos and then also on my blog and everything, is that real food doesn't need to be fortified with synthetic vitamins. So typically if you see a product that says fortified or vitamins added or minerals added or whatever, that means that the stuff was not there in the first place and they have to add it back in. So that's kind of another indication of that's not really real food. So we do have a solution, because I don't want to come on here and seem like I'm fear mongering. If you want to eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch, then awesome, eat it. We all have a choice with what we put in our mouth, but I like to give people options to kind of switch out if they're transitioning to real food and they still have those old comfort foods that they really, really love and they don't want to give them up. My goal with this series is to give you healthier options that are made with better ingredients that still give you that taste and flavor sensation that you're seeking. So that's why we did the homemade Cinnamon Toast Crunch recipe. And so the ingredients in this one are unsweetened coconut, shredded coconut, raw sunflower seeds, cinnamon, sea salt, maple syrup, an egg, and some coconut oil. So really easy ingredients. Some of you probably have all of these ingredients in your pantry already, so you could go whip up a batch. It only takes about 20 minutes to make. It's really easy. It's actually so easy that if you have kids, you could have your kids help you make it too. So that'd be a great way to get your kids involved in the kitchen as well. So check out the recipe over on the blog. And then if you're interested in a whole bunch of other paleo comfort food recipes, I recommend Kelly's book, Paleo Eats. And that's where the Cinnamon Toast Crunch recipe came from. She has the same mission as me. She wants to give people options when it comes to, giving up kind of their comfort foods when they switch to paleo or a clean style of eating. So there's a lot of comfort food recipes in there, and it's by far one of my favorite cookbooks. So definitely check that out. Hop over to the blog. And I would love to know from you guys that are watching, since we have quite a few people on here, what you guys want to see in the future for future Junk Food Made Real editions. So we've had some recommendations that we're working on recipes for. And some of you guys actually wanted to see a recipe for hand pies. So those, I used to always get them at the gas station, and I would get the chocolate ones. They were kind of that crunchy pie shell, and then it had like a fruit or a chocolate filling in the middle. Orletha shared a video the other day, I think at the end of last week, and I'll link to that down in the video description below, or you can find it in our video section on this Facebook page. But she did a recipe for hand pies. So definitely check that out. That looks like worth making. So yeah, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what your favorite junk food is, what that one food is that you just don't want to give up, and I will see if I can recreate it for you. So I want to thank everybody for watching today. I really appreciate it, and I want you guys to go out and have an absolutely awesome day. And I will talk to you guys again next week. Next week, we're going to be launching our first health expert focus. I'm going to start an interview series over here. And I'm going to feature one time a month. I'm going to interview a health expert, and we're going to talk about kind of more deeper levels of health and healing and stuff like that. And I believe that next week I am going to kick things off with an interview with a colleague of mine about the microbiome. So if you're interested in gut health and all of that wonderful stuff, you're going to want to tune into that one as well. So I'll see you guys next week. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.